Howdy folks, this is Feanor, and thank you for spending time together with me on the internet. So, apologies for the delay in this video. It's been another rough week, and I've spent the past 2 hours or so losing power every 5 minutes. So thank you, Texas Electrical Grid. Good job, guys. But here we are together again, and today's video is going to be on Pegaxy, which has so far been by far the most lucrative element of my passive income project. So we're going to take a look at it from the ground up, covering everything from the client to third-party tools to some of the market caps on the crypto tokens that it uses, and various websites you use to look at stuff like that, how to do scholarship programs, and I think we'll probably wrap it up with advice from someone who just started with Pegaxy a couple of weeks ago, that being me, and my advice to people who are interested in potentially getting into the project, and what I would do if I were starting over from scratch. So with that said, let's go ahead and shift to a screencast, and I can begin showing you guys all about Pegaxy. Okay, and here we are in the main Pegaxy client window. Pegaxy at this point is run completely through a browser window, though there are plans to release a mobile app for it within just the next month or two, I believe. So before we get into taking a look at various aspects of the client and discussing things like that, I'll provide a very brief overview of what the project is and how it works and how you earn with it. So Pegaxy is essentially a horse racing and breeding simulator. The horses that you race are this creature that you see there, prancing and whatnot. They're essentially kind of mechanical, transformer-like, metallic Pegaxy, basically, are the NFTs that are the basis of the project. And there are various ways to acquire these Pegas. Once you have possession of them, you run them in races. The races are currently 12 people at a time. We'll take a look at some racing momentarily. And if you win, place, or show, that is place first, second, or third in a race, you are awarded VIS. VIS is the abbreviation for the Vigorous Crypto Token, which is the utility token of the Pegaxy project. All of your winnings for racing are delivered to you in VIS. You can then take this VIS and convert it on sites like KyberSwap to USDT, which is the US dollar token, or other cryptocurrencies, and then cash them out, or invest them into other cryptos, or do whatever you want with them. And we'll go through all of that. So basically, before we look at the races, we will address how to acquire Pegas, because without ownership or renting Pegas, you can't actually participate in any races, therefore you can't earn. So we'll take a look. We'll just go left to right here and look at the various aspects of the client. Renting is one of the two ways to acquire Pegas. Basically, there are two different types of rental contracts. You can either pay a flat rental fee, or you can engage in a profit-sharing smart contract between yourself, the renter, and the owner of the Pega. We'll take a look at the ones that you pay a flat fee to rent. We will sort them by price, low to high. This little red icon there is the second financial token of interest for this video. It is the PGX, which is the abbreviation for Pegaxy Stone. That is the governance token of this particular project. So you have VIS, the utility token, and PGX, the governance token. These flat rental fees, you pay a flat amount and get access to the Pega for the time specified in the contract when the owner lists it on the market. So as you can see, all of the cheapest ones are getting it for 1 day. And we've got 46 pages of them for rent. So there are plenty for rent available at a flat fee. As of the time of this video, the PGX token is worth approximately 50 cents. So we're looking at $17 to be able to rent this particular Pega for 1 day. If we go to the very most expensive ones, we have 1270 PGX, which is about $635 to rent it for an entire month. And we have two extremely long-term contracts, one for 30 months and one for 60 months here. This one is about $1,250 to rent it for 60 months. Now, renting a Pega by paying a flat fee requires you to have the PGX to purchase the contract. So if you want to rent your Pega this way, you will be required to have the crypto in your MetaMask wallet, which means you would need to invest money to be able to rent Pegaxy this way. Sharing profit, on the other hand, is the way for anyone to get into the game in a completely free-to-play manner. And the profit sharing contracts, as you can see, there's only one page of them available. They get snapped up very, very quickly. I would not be surprised if we see several of these disappear and get replaced by new contract cards, just as I'm describing it. Basically, the amount written below the picture of each Pega, 10%, 10, 10, 1, 10, 11, 10, 5, 11, that's the amount that you as the renter would earn. So if you grab one of these 10% Pegas, whenever it wins, place, or shows in a race, you would get 10% of the reward. The owner would get 90% of the reward. When we look at some of the third-party software a little later in the video, we can take a look at the breakdown of how common different contracts are and what 10% is actually going to mean for you in terms of earnings and stuff like that. So one thing that the Pegaxy project has done exceptionally well at is creating a very robust infrastructure that automatically has these trustless smart contracts that you're able to sign through MetaMask with the owners of the Pegas. And basically it's a trustless system. You don't have to worry about getting scammed anytime you execute a contract through the Pegaxy website, because all the functionality is built directly into it, and it forces both parties to the contract to abide by the terms of the contract when it is signed. So it's very safe to do, and renting a Pega like this costs you absolutely nothing. However, in exchange for that, you're going to be giving up the lion's share of the earnings to the Pega owner. These buttons here, there are basically 4 different breed types of Pegas. We'll discuss those briefly later, but it's not really important. As of now, the game is still quite close to its infancy. It's really only a couple months old, and there are no functional differences between breeds at this point, other than some of the cooldown timers that are used when you breed the Pegas with one another and things like that. So if you're looking to get into Pegaxy in a free-to-play manner, or are uncomfortable investing your own money into purchasing the crypto that you'll need to either purchase Pegas outright or pay flat rental fees for them, this is the way to go. You're going to have to get one of these shared profit contracts to start. So that's about it for renting. We'll now move on to the marketplace. The marketplace is very similar to renting, with the difference that when you execute a transaction here, you're actually permanently buying ownership of the Pega NFT listed for sale. We'll go ahead and sort them by lowest to highest price again. There's also a currency filter here. You can purchase Pegas either for PGX or for USDT. USDT being the stable coin that is constantly pegged to the US dollar. So it basically takes away the volatility of crypto markets. One USDT will always be worth $1 now and forever, unlike Bitcoin or Ethereum or the tokens native to Pegaxy, VIS or PGX, where the valuation of those in terms of real dollars can fluctuate minute to minute. So USDT, one USDT always is $1. And we've got them sorted low to high. There are different Sales, you can these ones that have ended stamped on them are auctions. So much like eBay or any other auction site, they last for a finite period of time. You can bid on them as long as the auction is still running and whatnot. We'll go to Pegas, maybe that'll clear. Yeah, there we go. That cleared off all those ended auctions. So here we are. We're looking at Pegas only right now. There are a variety of filters. You can sort by breed type, rarity, gender, listing type, auction or fixed price, breed count, which is this number and the little heart in the upper right of each Pegas card. So a pretty robust filtering system, including currency, price, low to high, all the stuff that you would want. So basically, looking at these, the cheapest Pega, if you want to purchase it, is this one's $884. There's 80 pages of them for sale. If we go to the very most expensive ones, yeah, we've got one here for $200,000, one here for $750,000. Wow. Oh wow, one here for oh, that's a decimal point. Okay, I was going to say one for $3.3 million, but yeah, they can get pretty obscenely priced. $200,000 one here. For the purposes of this video, we're going to assume that you are not a famous athlete or musician and just a regular person looking to earn some money. So we'll stick with looking at the cheap ones. And I think I have to sort them low to high again. Yeah. So when we sort them, as you can see here, are a couple auctions that are still running. This one's up in under an hour. Current bid on it is $790. Ones without the timer ticking down on them are fixed price listings. There are also items at this point. We just had a Valentine's Day event that concluded a few days ago. Pretty much everything on here is going to be a Valentine's Day ticket. There are some other items, but they were exceedingly rare and only obtainable in NFT drops at the very beginning of the project, and you'll very rarely see them sold, if at all. So these are basically Valentine's Day tickets that people invested in and are now trying to sell on the open market. They are strictly cosmetic in nature. So from an investment and earnings standpoint, you want to be acquiring the Pegas because those are the engines that generate the income. So that's the marketplace. We'll now take a look at the racing. So as of right now, racing is basically totally determined by RNG. Almost every single Pega out there, no matter what its rarity, bloodline, anything like that, they try to peg them at about a 20 to 25% win rate. What they call win rate here counts first, second, or third place finishes. So basically any finish that you would be awarded prize money for your placement in. All races award a total of 175 VIS tokens per race, with the first place Pega getting, I believe, 105, the second place Pega getting 44, and the last place Pega getting, or the third place Pega, not last, getting 22 or something like that. There are two racing modes. I believe I have it in 2D right now, so this is my stable of Pegas. So we are going to let that load up. As you can see, Pegas have individual statistics. We've got speed, strength, lightning, wind, water, fire. It tells the breed type, the bloodline, gender, how many races it's been in, its career performance, its win rate, and what colors comprise its design. So I've got all of these right now. We're going to go ahead and hit start. That should bring up a queue here. Usually the queues populate pretty quickly. When our place or when a match that we go into fires, we get this. It's a MetaMask contract that comes up. You sign the contract to participate in the match. Requires 12 people to start a match. So 4 out of 12. The others will fill in as people accept. And then the race will start when it is full of Pegaxy. And this is a very simple kind of 2D rendering of a race. This is what the project started out as. They do have a 3D racing client, which was just released to the general public within the past week or so. We'll take a look at a 3D race next so you guys can see the difference. Looks like our graph, normally we'd see little horse graphics here. There we go, they popped in. And we've got, gold, bronze, and silver. And as, the places in the race change, it will update their placement in it. So this is us. So we're actually running pretty well. We've got second place so far. Oh, we took over first place. Lucky us. We've kind of broken out in the lead here compared to the other people. These numbers floating by are how far into the race we are. There are stadium statistics down here, what the temperature is, how strong the wind is, which way it's blowing, the steepness of the track incline, stuff like that. These basically are not yet relevant. However, the game is going to actually be a game at some point. Right now, it's essentially all RNG. If you're lucky, you win. If you're not lucky, you don't win. But it does normalize win rates and earnings across all Pega. So there's no such thing as a complete stinker that never wins. They all kind of have close to the same win rates. That is going to change when the actual game portion of the project is introduced, because individual player skill will begin playing a role. And those statistics that your Pegas have, the strength, speed, and elemental statistics, do not yet play a role, but those will in the future. So, if you have a Pegasus with very high fire statistic, he's going to be, exceptional at racing on particularly hot racetracks. If you have a Pega with high speed, he's going to be, great at breakaway speeds when there's nothing impeding him, things like that. So exactly how those stats work is as of yet undisclosed, as is how player skill will influence performance in races. So all of that stuff will be coming out in following months. We ended up taking first place there. So lucky us, we won 105 VIS for our first place. This guy got 44. That guy got 26. I think I said 22 earlier, so I was off by a few. So that is it as far as how a race operates. So we will go ahead and we do that. We're going to enable the 3D gameplay. It's still technically in a beta, and we'll wait a minute for this to populate. And this will give us an idea of what the game will look like. So it's basically going to be the same as that 2D representation we just saw, however, with actual graphics, which frankly look pretty cool. And you can basically kind of see how player skill might enter into races once statistics and different stadiums and other functionality become enabled and things like that. So we'll switch to a different horse. As you can see, like each one of the Pegas in our account has kind of a different look, different stats. This guy's kind of a stinker for stats, 1%, 1%, 2%, so not very good. We may want to sell him at some point. But yeah, you've got your list of Pegas. Looks like the graphics are just being a little slow to load, which is these question marks. But we'll take Surus for a ride in the new 3D closed beta client. So functionality is going to be the exact same. When a match is located, we have another smart contract that pops up. We're going to go ahead and sign that, join the match, and it looks like we are in slot 8. So this little guy with the yellow arrow above his head is our Pega. We're waiting for these two final guys to load in, and then the race will start. So there's the second to last fella, and there's our straggler. So we're all here, all ready to race. It should start any second. There we go. So the Pegas are off to the races. And we're moving up. There we go. We're performing very well again. I believe Surus is actually my highest performing Pega at the moment. So he has a pretty good track record. His win rate is quite high. And as you can see, the gusts of wind that slow us down occasionally and different visual elements are playing. It's not likely for us to be able to win this one, I don't think. Well, we took over 4th, so if we can catch up to that fella, we'll win at least a little bit. We're neck and neck with this guy, but yeah, we're probably not going to win this one because the finishers are crossing the line right about now. So, oh dang, 4th place. We missed a reward by 1. So, unfortunate for us, but yeah, you can't win them all. And like I said, as of this point, all Pegas have basically normalized win rates to prevent there from being, you know, any sort of pay to win or ultimate Pega that wins all the time or things like that. So that is the conclusion of both formats of the racing. It's very simple. The way individual Pegas work, we'll wait here. We're going to... Oops, I hit the wrong button again. We're going to switch back to the 2D client. And yes, so this is our Pegas. As you can see, that little 3 out of 25 on Surus, that is their energy count. Energy is regenerated by all of your Pegas at the rate of 1 energy per day, and they can hold a maximum of 25 energy. So basically, you can... You need to race your Pegas every day and clear out their energy, because if they are sitting at 25 out of 25, you lose that extra energy, which means you straight up are losing potential money. So you basically have to race all of your horses every day to their fullest extent, or you risk leaving money on the table. So we can move on from racing to breeding. The way breeding works is you basically take a male Pega and a female Pega, give them a little alone time, hubba hubba, and they produce a baby Pega. Now, it's very interesting because you can either use your own Pegas to do your breeding, or there's also a breeding rental where you essentially are paying a person for use of their Pega to breed. So this can be helpful if you are doing your own breeding, for example, and you get unlucky on the sex ratio. If you have, all male Pegas and you have no females, you can just pay a guy for a dam fee for his female Pega and make your own babies that way. I've got enough where I am using my own Pegas to breed. There's really nothing to it. Breeding is the #1 feature that burns VIS in the game. It's by far the largest VIS sink. We need VIS sinks in this project because there's essentially an unlimited quantity of VIS that is created through those race awards. So, there's millions and millions and millions of races that have occurred. Each one is creating 175 VIS and putting that out into the market structure of that token. And they would rapidly inflate into worthlessness if there wasn't some mechanism to take VIS out of the market. And that's where breeding comes in. We will switch over to a section of their white paper here, and this is going to show us what the breeding costs are for the Pegas. I'll leave links to all of the different software that I use and the white paper, and anything I talk about in the video I'll add in as a link in the description of this video. So basically, every Pega can only breed 7 times in its whole lifetime. And the cost in VIS that you have to pay, and when you pay these costs, the VIS is permanently burnt. It does not go back to the developers. It's actually removed from the ecosystem of the game on a permanent basis. So when you burn VIS to breed, it is gone from the economy forever. And that is, as of now, the #1 mechanism that's used to remove all of the superfluous VIS from the market and control its inflation. They kind of mislabeled this section of their white paper. Basically, when looking at this chart, as you can see, breeding a virgin Pega is the cheapest. You only pay 2,000 VIS to breed a virgin Pega, whereas if you're going for your 7th breed on a Pega, it's 42,000 VIS. Or enough for 21 virgin breeds. So they kind of scale up slowly at first, and then in these middle breeds, they become progressively more expensive, and then the final 2 breeds are by far the lion's share of the cost. Most people right now are only breeding up to the second breed completed at maximum, strictly because of basically the cost. So the mislabeling they did is the VIS cost is per horse, or per pega rather, involved in the breed, whereas the PGX cost is per breeding pair. So for example, if we were to breed 2 virgin pegas, we would need 2,000 VIS for each of them for a total of 4,000 VIS, but only 30 PGX for the pair. So breeding virgins is by far the cheapest to do at a cost of 4,000 VIS. And you can mix and match. So say we've got a pega with 2 out of 7 breeds done and a virgin. That would be 6,000 plus 2,000 for a total of 8,000 VIS to perform that breed. And if we go back to the rental screen here, we can see that in action. We'll just pick that guy with a 3 breed count, and for the female, we'll pick a virgin, so a 0 breed count. So if we wanted to pay these people, we can hit the breed button, and it would cost me about $723 to pay to the owners of the 2 pegas for the privilege of burning their breed counts, and then we would also have to pay a total of 12,000 VIS and 30 PGX to be burned and removed from the economy permanently. You can name your pega whatever you want, and yeah, that's how breeding works. It's just the click of a button. When you breed them, they have some cooldowns associated with them. Baby pegas cannot immediately race and begin earning VIS. They require a couple of days to mature. How quickly they mature is based on their bloodline. So if we go back to the marketplace, look at pegas, these are the 4 bloodlines. You have Haas, Campona, Clin, and Zan. Haases are the ones with the lowest cooldowns. So a baby Haas can race 24 hours after it has been born. A baby Haas can breed 4 days after it is born. And Zans are the slowest maturing ones. When a baby Zan is born, it will take 4 days before the Zan is able to race. So as you can see, that means that a Haas is going to get a few more extra days of racing compared to a Zan. That's why Haases tend to be more expensive than Zans. Simple as that. So we've discussed breeding, and then it's got a My Assets tab. These are the 6 pegas that I have been able to own myself. I began the project by purchasing from a friend 2 virgin pegas that he owned. So I made an initial investment of $3,200, $1,600 a piece to buy those 2 pegas, and then I have breeded them. So I believe Enchanted and Iolite were the 2 that I originally bought from him. As you can see, they've now been bred twice. Thankfully, because these are mechanical horses, there's no such thing as incestuous breeding or inbreeding to worry about. It's totally okay to breed brothers with sisters or parents with children. That's fine because they're magical machines. So bully for that. These are the 6 that I own. I'm also renting 2 from a friend, so I have command over 8 total pegas at the moment. I have no items at the moment, haven't made any bids on anything, and it also tracks your profit. So as you can see, I made the mistake of claiming my very first win immediately after I won it, because I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to claim that money. And so this is actually the date and time that I started playing. So I started on the 2nd of January, 2022. So I'm about 4 days shy of being involved in the project a month. My consecutive claims, I had already purchased my initial pegas by this point, and I had even more pegas because of my breeding at this point. And I'm ready to claim this amount of VIS right now. So as you see, my earnings increase every 2-week period. And basically what this claim thing is if you look at your wallet stats, the VIS that you earn from racing is what is called locked. Locked means that you can't spend that VIS, and you're only allowed to claim your prize pool every 2 weeks. That's to prevent people from claiming every time they win, just like I did with my very first claim, and basically messing up the market by making it too volatile, because everyone, no matter how many Pegas they own or no matter how much VIS is in their wallet, you can still only claim once every 15 days or twice a month. So if we add all this up, this is going to be about 17,000 VIS or so that I've earned from racing. I have a partner, so he has held half of these Pegas and been doing half of the racing for me. He has earned about half of the VIS also. So when we move on in a moment out of the client and into some of the third-party stuff, we'll take a look at actual numbers and see how well I've done on my investment so far. So I think that basically concludes it for the Pegaxy client. So we will move on from there. Pegaxy does have a white paper, which I referenced earlier. We took a look at this breeding chart briefly when we were looking at the breeding section of the client. Links to all of this stuff will again be in there. You can basically read everything. They've also got a roadmap. This kind of details, what features they plan on introducing in what order, their approximate release time, stuff like that. So the white paper is a very, very valuable piece of information for people to go over. I highly suggest you read it in full before deciding to invest in the project. And so that is it for their white paper. Now we're going to move on to this website called Apollo. Apollo is not technically a third-party website. It's actually run by the people who also maintain the Pegaxy project, as you can see from the URL. It's got the .pegaxy.io, just like the actual game client has. So it's run on the same URL system as the main game client, and this is going to be kind of your go-to spot to see information on the market at large. Basically, I have the time period set to all, so this is going to show every bit of data from the inception of the project to right now in real time. We can see that 199,200 Pega have been born since the beginning of the project. Pegas that have been sold on the marketplace account for almost $150 million of sales volume. It looks like about half the Pegas that have been bred have been sold to other owners. This thing in the middle here shows the VIS mint versus the burn ratio. The reason you see a big blue bar every 2 weeks there is that represents the people who bought into the project prior to its official opening. So they got into it versus, during initial NFT drops, pre-project sales, stuff like that. So in the community, we call them, the OG crew who were in it before it started. And as you see on day one, they minted 17 million VIS, and essentially nothing was burned, only 246,000. So minted versus burned, we can see that 1.5 billion VIS has been minted since the inception of the project. Almost 1.4 billion VIS has been burned in breeding and other stuff. 87% of it in total. So if we switch to a more realistic time frame, the last 7 days or so, this changes. This lines up with the OG breeding cycle. So you're going to see a lot more Pegaxy come out on those days, which means you're going to see a lot more minting on those days. And this day was the beginning of the Valentine's Day sale, which we'll discuss momentarily. But yeah, as you can see, all of the numbers change. So in the past week, 37,316 Pegas have been added, about 30 million in sales volume, 21,657 were sold, yada, yada, yada. This global renter shares lets you see basically when we talked about those rental contracts and profit sharing, this shows you what people are getting in terms of the profit split. In the Pegaxy community, people who are renting in a profit sharing agreement and running your horses for you are called scholars. You as a Pegaxy owner are called a manager. So 53% of the profit sharing contracts are offering between 1 and 10% to the scholar. So almost half of them are pretty low valued in terms of the scholars cut. 19% of them are 10 to 20%, 15% of them are 10 to 30%, and that takes us up to about 87% of all contracts. So the vast, vast majority of contracts offer scholars a 30% or lower cut. So that information is both valuable to potential scholars. You can basically evaluate how good of a deal you're getting by checking this area on Apollo. And as a manager, it can let you see what other people are offering to the general public. Very few contracts pay more than that. There is kind of an exception here at the very end where there's a few thousand of them offering a 90 to 100% contract. What I suspect is going on there is it's people with multiple wallets who are basically keeping their Pega ownership separate from their racing wallet for, perhaps bookkeeping purposes or things like that. So they're essentially renting to themselves, and that's why we see, a few thousand of them at the obscenely high scholar split. Down here, this is going to be very important to anyone looking to invest in the project. It is the floor prices of the various Pega. We can sort them by gender if we like, or the rarity. The breed, it always is going to show you the 4 breeds. So this box is for Haas, Campona, Klin, and Zan. We also have a slider that lets us filter by breed count. And if you remember back here, breed count is very important because that directly influences the cost that you will pay to create a new Pega. So if we are only interested in virgin Pegas, i.e. the lowest cost to breed, this is the cost of the lowest current marketplace listing for our current filter settings. So they're all very close to one another. Basically looks like you're paying between $1,350 and so to $1,400 for a virgin, and it's basically regardless of breed. If we want to look at something that's pretty much no one has bred more than 3 times because of the scaling costs, we can see. I suppose we can go 4 to 7. So yeah, there are a couple 4 and 5 breeds here. Are there any 6s and 7s? Yeah, a couple 6 and 7s. So this fella paid that 42,000 vis to get that horse up to 7. So wow. Not a single Zan has been bred that far. So yeah, you can do some interesting investigations by changing your filters and looking around. If you don't care about breeding and you just want to buy in as cheaply as possible, just keep it like this. And you can basically see that for $850 would be the cheapest Pega on the market right now. But you can also see his breed count is 3 to 7. So if you do want to breed him, you're going to be stuck paying a higher cost in the future. So usually there's a pretty close relationship between the price and the breed cost. So like here, we're looking at $1,300 to $1,350 to $1,400. If we go up to look at only one breed counts, they're all about $200 less, give or take. And coincidentally, the difference in cost between a virgin and a 1 breed count is about $200. So that's why people are setting the prices the way they do. If we go up to a 2nd breed, oh look, it's about $200 again, cheaper. And if we go back to the breeding table, it is about another 2,000 VIST in cost. So the correlation in costs for the vast majority of Pegas are pretty closely adhere to your VIS cost for breeding. So that is it. It's got some other stats here. So, we can, take a look at my total VIS earned since I began playing the game, stuff like that. See my, total race history, my win rate, stuff like that. We can take a look at individual Pegas that I have, how much energy they have, how many times they've been bred, a bunch of different stuff. And you can see, the top earners of all time, renters versus owners. And Yeah, this is a little thing for the Valentine's Day event, which concluded a few days ago. So a lot of useful information in this Apollo site. It also gives us the current prices in US dollars for both the VIS token and the PGX governance token. So Apollo is kind of your one-stop shop for statistical analysis, as well as helping to find the best deals. They even have it like if you decide, oh, I want to buy this one, you can click the little link, and it will take you right to that marketplace listing. So this is the one that was just displayed in Apollo. That's the price that was just listed there. If we wanted to buy it, we go ahead and hit buy, and a contract would pop up. And assuming that we have the money in our wallet, we would be able to buy that Pega. So kind of a handy little feature there. Next, we're going to move on to Coinmarketcap, which is a popular cryptocurrency informational and listing site. I have the Vigorous token, or the VIS token, that I've been referring to all video already brought up here. And this shows its price in US dollars right now. As you can see, in the past day, it's been fairly volatile on a slight downward trend. It's lost about 4.24% of its value. If we change that to a 7-day look, we can see that we've had the significant fall off in the past 7 days. That was as a consequence of the Valentine's Day event. Basically what happened there is they had a limited number of special one-time consumable items for sale that you could purchase with this. However, they all sold out super fast. I believe they sold $7 million worth of the things in 42 minutes or something like that. So basically, that left people who had all been saving up their VIS high and dry, because they had been saving up the VIS hopefully to purchase some of these Valentine's Day items. They were not able to get them. You can only breed your Pegas so fast, and after you breed them, they have a breed cooldown. So they basically couldn't do anything with their VIS, and that led to a pretty sharp sell-off, which then created kind of a panic in the game and led to other people selling off to its all-time crash, which was about 3 days ago now. And it's recovered a little bit since then. People are now back to breeding. People have determined it wasn't a rug pull. So a lot of the panic has settled down at this point. But like with all cryptocurrencies, volatility is huge. And if you had bought in, less than a week ago when VIS was 17 or 18 cents a piece, and now it's 9, you would be a pretty unhappy camper. I am taking a long-term approach. I feel that the tokenomics of the project are strong. At this point, let's do a little math and see how I personally am doing in terms of my investment. So we'll bring up a calculator here, and we'll resize this bugger to be a little more manageable while we can still see other stuff. Okay, so I began by purchasing 2 Pegaxy for $1,600 a piece. So I'm in $3,200. At this point, we're going to go and take a look at my Pegas. I have all the same breed because I bought 2 of a matching breed, Haas breed, and 2 Haas parents always produce Haas children. So I have 3 Haases that have a 2 breed count now, 2 Haases that have a 1 breed count, and a virgin Haas, who is the horse that I just bred yesterday, I believe. So now we're going to go back to Apollo, and we're going to go to 2 breed count Haases, see what the lowest price on the market is. It's currently $885. So $885 times 3, $26.55 in 2 breed count Haases. So I'm up, well, I haven't recouped my investment of $3,200, but they really do most of it right there. If we look at the 1 breed counts, which are going to be slightly more valuable, $11.60 right now, so plus $11.60 twice. That puts me up to almost $5,000 exactly in Pega value. And then we have our singular virgin, which is $13.43. So the marketplace value of all my Pegas as of right now is $6,318, which is not bad on a $3,200 investment. Also, if we look at my history here, I did not really get into breeding. I believe this was my first purchase, was only about 2.5 weeks ago. So I played the game, did a couple of races. My buddy initially offered me profit sharing rental contracts on a couple horses so I could see if I liked the project, yada, yada, yada. And after playing around with it for a little over a month and learning about it, doing a lot of research, I was comfortable enough to invest. That's the point at which I bought my initial breeding pair, which I have expanded to a stable of 6 Pegas at this point. On top of that, I've earned this much in VIS. So if we reset our calculator there, and as I pointed out on the price chart, it's significantly down. And I've switched this to a 1-month time frame. I was doing quite a bit of breeding at VIS's all-time highs. So the opportunity cost, when VIS was worth, about a quarter, when I did at least 2 of my breeds, I want to say. I probably did 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then my most recent one here. So I paid more than I could have for my breeding for sure. So because we don't want to artificially inflate my value or anything like that, we're just going to use our current VIS price for calculating what my opportunity cost was, and keep in mind that it's quite low at the moment. So that was the amount of VIS I've earned times 0.0921. So my total amount of VIS earned was worth about $1,600. So we can take that $1,600 plus my $3,200. That puts me to about $4,800. But if we look at my history, my Pega value alone is $6,318. So absolute value that. So I've made about a $1,500 profit, counting all of the VIS that I've poured back into it and everything, which is not bad for an initial investment of $3,200 out of pocket. And then the other investment, the VIS investment, it's not out of pocket investment. I earned that VIS through racing. So yes, I could have taken that out and transferred it to dollars or something like that. I instead reinvested into it, but it's different than an out-of-pocket investment, basically. On top of that, my partner has about an equal amount of VIS, because if you are an astute viewer, you will notice that the 17,000 VIS that I've earned isn't enough to account for the breeds that we've done. So if we go back to my Pega stable, I bought these 2. We've done the 4 breeds. So if we go to the breeding table, the very first breed I did would have cost me 4,000 VIS. And then every consecutive breed after that was between a 1 count and a 0 count. So 6,000 VIS. So 18,000 plus 4,000. So we've spent 22,000 VIS on breeding alone. We have begun to pull out some money. It's our goal to basically pull out our initial investment worth. So we did pull out about $1,000 USDT in cash just the other day. Thankfully, we got it out before the largest part of the crash hit. I think we did it around, switch that back to a 7-day. I think we pulled out around here. It was 13 cents, something like that when we pulled out. So that was good timing on our part. And moving forward, we have a strategy to kind of pull out enough VIS to replace our initial out-of-pocket investment in the project. And then after that, we're simply playing with profits. So we will probably be more aggressive once we've recouped our initial investment. The final thing I wanted to show you was a scholarship calculator. This can help figure out what you're actually going to be earning if you are able to get a profit sharing contract with someone, stuff like that. So the 300 Scholar VIS per day, that's at an average 25% win rate and a weighted value of 50 VIS per place. Basically what that means is almost every Pega earns you on average 300 VIS per day. So with my particular stable, I've got 6 that I own, so that's 1,800 VIS a day that I'm earning. And these 2 rental contracts are 50-50 splits between me and my buddy. Does it say that anywhere? It doesn't tell you that by looking at it, but I know that that's what my profit split is with them. So at 50 apiece, they basically count the same as one that I would own. So for computational purposes, we're going to go with 7 horses. So 7 horses earns me 2,100 VIS a day. If we go back to market price, basically I am earning almost $200 a day in VIS if I were to just pull it all out and constantly sell it for US dollar token and then convert the US dollar token into actual US dollars. So that's pretty good earnings potential. $200 a day over a year is $73,000 a year. And that's not counting the value of the underlying assets, because as you remember from Apollo, the Pegas themselves have worth even after you've bred them up plenty of times, even the ones that can't be bred any further. These are actually, the reason the prices are high on these is because of an esoteric feature that is not yet released into the game. So these people are kind of speculating on the fact that at some point in the future, the horses actually will be worth that much. Probably more realistic to look at 5, maybe 4 counts is realistic. Yeah, you see people like wanting premiums, maybe 3 counts. That's probably realistic for a heavily bred Pega cost. So not only is it earning about $200 a day, the Pegas themselves, we can actually expand it to everything and it will show us the lowest prices. So, the Pegas in the stable have these values along with the $200 per day in earnings. So as you can see, it is quite lucrative. Even when VIS is down, it remains quite lucrative. Even if VIS would drop by 50% in value from here, and we are at 50% of where it was a week ago. So the economics on this game are very, very solid. Earning potential is very, very high. So to the scholarship calculator, and now this will help us look at what a scholar can consider earning. So this is the flat rate versus the percentage, and this is how many scholars you have. So if I were to rent out all of my Pegas to scholars, I would need 6 of them. So if I did them all in 10% contracts, they all have average earnings per day. My scholars would be getting about $2 a day each for doing the races, whereas I would be getting about 140. Oh, pardon me. That's, is that each? Yeah, that's each. So yeah. So if I had 6 scholars, what is that calculating? Yeah, that means between them they would be earning 16, 17 a day. That would be my cut. And that would be the total. The reason that's different than here is because this is a more real-time price. It looks like the pricing on here is stuck a few minutes behind. Crypto always fluctuates. So as you can see, it going down a penny makes a $30 a day difference to me. But still, for me being the manager, that's a nice take-home on a monthly basis. So now for the final portion of the video, we'll go back and maybe run some races because I'd like to burn some energy down. So I'll just have some races going in the background while we talk about the final portion of the video, and that is how to get into Pegaxy as a new entrant. There's basically 2 ways that I would suggest people do this in. And one way is going to require a capital investment on your part, And that probably is the preferred way, but I understand people are hesitant about crypto projects in general and NFT projects in general. And the idea, it even sounded a little crazy in my own head, I'm not going to lie, when I was saying, okay, are you really going to spend $3,000 on imaginary digital mechanical horses? Like, that sounds kind of ridiculous, but I've been a crypto miner for many years, so I have confidence in cryptocurrency in general, and I did my research into the particular project. And even me, I missed my chance to kind of buy in at the start of the project. I think I could have gotten in at the very tail end of their final NFT drop. I had an online friend, we play a game together, who initially told me about the project, recommended I get in. I thought he was nuts. And at that point, I could have bought a Pega for about $150 US instead of the $1,600 I ended up paying just a month or two later. So I was skeptical myself at first. I understand if you're skeptical too. This video is not financial advice by any means. It is just an accurate and honest description of the experience I've had so far. I don't want anyone to ever make any investment that is outside their comfort zone, and research. One nice thing about Pegaxy is that pretty much all of the statistics are kind of publicly available. You can take a look at market cap, you can look at trade volumes over the past month, over the past week, over the past day of both the Vigorous token and the Pegaxy Stone. You can use Apollo to see, sales volumes over the last 2 weeks, over the last month. You can see what other scholars are earning. You can take a look at the mint versus burn ratio. So pretty much all of the information that you need to educate yourself on Pegaxy is out there and publicly available and completely transparent. So do your research. And if you feel comfortable investing, I would probably recommend that you follow the same strategy I did, which would mean buying a virgin pair of Pegas. So you could actually get in cheaper than I did. You're going to pay $13.33 is the cheapest right now. I would probably spend the extra $6 and get a Haas over a Campona because of those cooldown timers I mentioned earlier, which, if you do your research, you will be educated about. So to get in right now and buy a pair of virgin Haases would require about $2,678. So if we go, it's $500 cheaper than I was able to get in. And then once you do that, you can kind of race them, earn VIS through racing, pay for your breed costs through the VIS that you earn for free for racing, and begin developing your stable that way. That's probably how I would recommend someone get in that is comfortable with the project and has a couple $1,000s to invest in it. However, there is another method of getting into it that requires zero out of your pocket. It will take longer to do. That's the trade-off. And that method, if we go back to the Pega client, is by engaging in these shared profit, the scholarship relationship, scholar-manager relationship I've talked about before. There are numerous communities, and they're called guilds, that you can join, where there are tons and tons of managers. Some of the whales in this game have literally hundreds of their own Pegas at this point, and it's probably technically barely feasible for me to handle all of my own racing on an ongoing basis, but that would require a fair bit of time of me, sitting here and going through each Pega and waiting for these loading screens, waiting for the race to happen, starting the race, waiting for the contract. It can be time consuming. And imagine if you had 100 Pegas to deal with. There are probably people out there that have 1,000 Pegas to deal with. So it will basically rapidly scale beyond your ability to manage, meaning that managers with a lot invested into the game and a large stable of Pegas need an equally large cadre of scholars in order to run their races for them. And if they don't run their races, they are losing out on earning their VIS, which means they are leaving money on the table. So if you are uncomfortable investing but still would like to get into Pegaxy, join some gaming communities. I'm sure you can Google them up. Unfortunately, our guild is not looking for more scholars at this point. We have hundreds of people waiting in line already. I will leave a link to my personal Discord server in the description to this video. You can come in and talk to me, and I can possibly get you in to the guild, or at least notify you when we're accepting new scholars into the program. And basically, the method for getting in without any out-of-pocket investment would be to become a scholar, get your 3 profit-sharing Pega rentals, and do your races every day on those 3 Pega. We can do some math here. So we'll go back to the VIS price. So, and we'll go back to Apollo quick and take a look at the breakdown. Let's say that you are able to get maybe a 12% split. That's probably close to a quote-unquote average scholar split, as much as there can be said to be such a thing. So if you get 12% of 3 Pegas, and the average Pega earns 300 VIS per day, you have 300 VIS per day times 3 Pegas for 900 VIS earnings per day times 0.12, which would be your split. So you basically would earn about 108 VIS per day in this hypothetical arrangement we're talking about. 108 VIS per day at current VIS cost is about just under $10 per day, $9.74. So if we go back here and look at this, if you want to buy a virgin, basically it would require you to play for a little over 4 months, about 134 days to buy a single virgin. Once you have a single virgin, remember you can rent other people's horses to breed with. So if you've got a single virgin, you can pay a guy a fee that you can again earn after a few more weeks of racing. Once you own your first Pega, your income will dramatically increase. So let's say that you've still got this $10 a day from your 3 rentals. That's going on. Now that you've got your own Pega that you completely own, that's the first virgin that you bought after a little over 4 months, you're going to get all 300 of those VIS per day. So what were we at? So you got 108 a day for your rentals, plus 300 from the one you own. So after your first Pega purchase, you're now making 408 VIS per day times 0.09021. So now you leapfrog all the way from $10 a day to almost $37 a day. At $37 a day, it would take you only a little over a month to earn your second Pega. So much quicker, and conceivably even quicker than that if you wanted to pay someone to rent their Pega for breeding. So we'll see what the very cheapest one is. Okay, this is the very cheapest one. So to rent him would cost you $25 in the PGX that you have to pay to the owner. So that would cost us $25. And, well, actually, hold on. Let's look for a virgin. Can I get that guy out of there? Okay, so we want to go breed count 0s and 1s only. And it looks like there's a little bit of a problem with their filtering at the moment. But yeah, we'll just use this guy for illustration purposes. So, okay, rental fee, $700, or 700 PGX rather, which is about 350. And then according to our breed chart, your virgin would be 2,000 VIS, and it would be 4,000 VIS to pay for the guy with the 1 breed count. So you'd need 6,000 VIS and another $15 in PGX. So you'd need $365 in PGX. Now, but remember, we're earning $37 a day. So we've got our PGX covered in 10 days. And then the VIS, we're earning 408 a day of. So if we go 6,000 VIS divided by 408 a day, 14 days to earn the 14.7 days to earn the requisite VIS, plus another 10 days to earn the requisite PGX. So if you go the rental route, you would have your new baby Pega in 24 days as opposed to the 37 days. The difference being, if you go the 37 days, you would own both Pegas. If you go the 25 days, you only would own 2 Pegas instead of 3. So I'm sure that illustrates how the math works out. And basically, that is the strategy I would use if I was uncomfortable or unable to invest my way into the project, but still like participating. So basically, you're going to see your first big bump after being a dedicated racer for 4 months. And then after that, you kind of snowball. Like I said, the tokenomics of the project are very solid. I watch it every day, obviously, because I'm now earning a significant amount of money doing this. But I expect that Pegaxy will be here in a couple of years. As you do research and learn about the project, you can see that they have, a nice roadmap. They've executed most of their roadmap milestones on schedule, with the one exception of their mobile app has been delayed a little bit later than they initially intended. But yeah, I feel very strongly about the project. It's done very well for me. And I expect that it will be here in a couple of years. And if you get in at an opportune time, now is not a bad time. By summertime this year, or pardon me, by June, I know some of you are in the Southern Hemisphere, but by the middle of June, you would already be owning your first horse, and it would require really nothing other than half an hour or 45 minutes of your time on a daily basis to run your races and accumulate your VIS through those profit-sharing contracts. So I think that is it for this video. Tomorrow, I may do a very brief video on how to set up and register a MetaMask wallet and connect it to the project and that sort of stuff. And I also hopefully will get the other video that I promised on how to evaluate potential NFT projects and what sort of things you're actually looking at when you're researching projects to help identify strong financial projects from the stinkers. If you've been watching this entire series so far, you'll know that I also intended to take a look at Gods Unchained, the NFT collectible card game, and Thetan Arena, the NFT MOBA game. But I basically, after taking a look at it and before buying into it, have determined that the earnings for those projects simply aren't going to be worth my time. And while I like both of those games and may occasionally play them for entertainment purposes in the future, they just really don't have a place in my financial passive earnings income project the same way that Pegaxy does at this point. So I hope you found this video informative. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content. And I hope to have you continue to watch my videos in the future. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Take care.